to Deerfield Fantasy Football. It is Week 15. Everybody should be in semifinals matchups because if you play in Week 17, you're wrong. That's your weekly reminder of that. I am your host at Hot BFF with two P's, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. Dan Thury is working, I think. That or I really just forgot to send him an invite. I'm not sure. I think I remember him saying he's working. I'm hoping he's working. We'll go ahead and get started here with some of your outs. Not really a whole lot of late breaking stuff here, but we'll run through it and I'll answer your questions as I see them come in. Panthers tight end Greg Olsen is out today versus the Seahawks. Bears defensive tackle Akeem Hicks has been activated versus Green Bay. This is notable because the Bears' run defense took a notable drop off when Akeem Hicks went out with his elbow injury. So I expect that to improve a little bit. Julian Edelman active versus the Bengals. Damian Williams is out against Denver. We got Will Fuller active against Tennessee. And we got questions. Start one, half PPR, Dylan, Sutton, McLaurin, or Debo. I like Courtland Sutton. He's been on such a tear and so reliable with another matchup against the Chiefs. Yes, there's snow. I'll get to that in a minute. That should yield to a decent amount of throwing. He's shown that rapport with Drew Lock. I like Terry McLaurin too, but we have seen the Eagles step up their pass defense as of late, and McLaurin kind of fall off a little bit of a cliff. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Sutton. I feel like that's the safest play with about equal upside to the other two. We got Derrick Henry active against the Texans. With Mike Evans not going to play this week for Tampa Bay. This is always weird without Dan here. James Conner, he's going to start. He's going to have limited carries against the Bills per Ian Rappaport. Josh Jacobs is going to start. Albert Wilson and Devontae Parker are both cleared concussion protocol from Miami. Jared Cook expected to play Monday night against the Colts. T.Y. Hilton Monday night matchup. He's a game time decision that I'm not going to trust. T.Y. Hilton is. I just kind of don't trust that if he's out there, it's not going to be a decoy, that they're not going to try to limit him. And Lattimore hasn't necessarily been a fantastic matchup either. We've seen the Saints defense kind of come and go in ebbs and flows. But I just that being a Monday nighter with everything on the line this week, I can't trust T.Y. Hilton to go. And if he does, I can't trust him to produce. Jordan Howard and Nelson Aguilar have been ruled out for Week 16 against the Redskins, so Miles Sanders again. No problem, Dylan. Devonta Freeman, Julio Jones, both not listed on the Falcons' final injury report. Calvin Ridley will be out. Does give a slight bump up to Austin Hooper without Calvin Ridley there, just with some of the over-the-middle stuff. So Austin Hooper I actually like a lot this week. Gerald Everett out for Week 16 versus the Cowboys. That makes Tyler Higbee another great start at the tight end position. That offense working again as of late has been a direct result of Tyler Higbee being more involved. Matthew Stafford not going to start for the Lions. David Blau is going to draw in for that. Again, kind of a mixed bag with him. And Daniel Jones and Evan Ingram both going to be out for the Giants. You're right at Eli Manning yet again. And Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard are expected to be on the field at the same time. Something we've wanted to see all year and haven't seen all year. So we'll see how that transpires. As for weather, I mentioned earlier there is snow expected in Kansas City. Arrowhead does have a heated field, though, which should keep that ground from freezing. It should help keep things not necessarily messy down there. Snowfall is expected to be steady but not extensive. So I don't expect that to have a huge impact on the passing game or the running game or anything like that with the heated field. And the only other weather to note of today is that winds could play a significant role in Vikings versus Chargers. It has sustained winds at close to 20 miles an hour. So I don't want to say significant. That's kind of borderline for where that type of thing will start to impact games. But, Phillip Rivers not necessarily known as having the strongest arms these days. So keep an eye on that one. Now, who should I flex? Half PPR. Debo McLaurin, Miles Sanders, or David Montgomery? That's a little more intriguing. Debo McLaurin, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery. I want to say Miles Sanders. But I also like Debo against the Falcons a lot. I'm not sure how those offenses are gonna keep up with each other. I think that the Falcons do pose a little bit of offensive firepower, and we saw San Francisco's defense get burned a bit by the Saints, but that game script could go the other way. So I think Debo has upside. Sanders is the more safe play. This is typically where I'd turn to Dan to help me break that, but since he's not here, if it were me, I'd be throwing out Miles Sanders. But like I always say, look at your matchup. Look and see if they got a lot of guys with good matchups. If you might need a guy to boom. If so, then turn to Debo. We're out of world to check here, see if there's anything else late breaking. Devin White is going to play for Tampa Bay, so big ups to their defense with him in there. And the Seahawks have declared Shaquille Griffin inactive, so I guess it's a little bit better for the Panthers with Griffin out, but Seahawks pass defense wasn't really doing a whole lot. What's up, Colton? It's a struggle bus of a cold, frozen Sunday here. I had to play Lamar Jackson still against the best team in the play LJ. Okay, had LJ play, still going against the best team in the league. Perriman, Hollister, Fant, and half PPR. Fant is gonna play, is a little bit banged up. Excuse me. Hollister gets the Panthers. Hasn't necessarily been on quite the same tear. I would say go with Noah Fant. I kind of just want to load up on that game. Given how Drew Lock's performed and the fact that it is against Kansas City, so I would say go with Fant in that scenario. I don't have a whole lot of love for Perriman. I know Evans is out, so he could see some target volume, but I still think more of that goes to Godwin and the tight ends. And Scotty Miller is going to be back, which is part of what was contributing to Rashad Perriman seeing field. So just a couple things to note there. And I'm also not sure if Justin Watson's not going to get into a little bit of that also. Alex, full PPR, pick 2. Lindsey Sanders, Mostert, A.J. Brown. It's Raheem Mostert for sure. He's earned the right to start. He's shown some explosiveness. And then let's go Miles Sanders in that. Maybe. Yeah, go with Miles Sanders in that. I love A.J. Brown. I love A.J. Brown's explosive big play ability. I love what he's done the last couple weeks. What I don't love is the target volume for A.J. Brown. And the target volume he gets is only about 4 to 7 a game, which means that if he doesn't break a big one, or multiple big ones as we've seen, that you're kind of going to end up with a little bit more of a dud than anything. So I'm going to say it's Miles Sanders and Raheem Mostert for me. KC Denver game in the snow. So, sustained at like 0.25 inches per hour is not that bad. Arrowhead also does have a heated field, which should help keep some of that slop cleaned up. So, and the ground from getting necessarily too cold and freezing and causing some other issues that you might see with that. So, it's not going to be as bad as it would be in some other places. Shout out to the Fantasy Footballers website for that little tidbit, which is where I typically pull weather information from. It's the most reliable spot I found. But yeah, I don't think it's going to impact it quite as much as people think. Nathan, how's it going? Don't know if I've seen you here before or not, so if not, welcome. If so, sorry about that. Full point PPR, flex pick, Marlon Mack or Curtis Samuel? Probably going to go with Marlon Mack there. Panthers, Seahawks, the one thing I don't like is Kyle Allen's kind of up and down season, especially as pass rushes go. Now, Seattle's hasn't been necessarily fantastic. You do get a little bit of a bump to Samuel with Greg Olsen being out. But Marlon Mack against the Saints, their run defense has not necessarily been great here as of late. We know the Colts offensive line is good. I just think that gives you a little more insulated value with Marlon Mack over Curtis Samuel. All right, we'll keep it here for a few more minutes if any of the rest of you have questions before we go ahead and roll off this thing. So, and another note on the snow there too. I think game script wise, it's gonna make specifically Denver have to continue to throw a little bit more than what they would. I think that Kansas City. What's the plan for off-season content? So off-season content will drop back down to one a week. So that'll start in week 17, and we'll start rolling through some of that. We'll get into our postseason awards like always is the first episode, and then we'll kind of take it from there. I know that we want to look back on the last 3 years of draft classes from a dynasty perspective. I want to do a little exercise where we run through and kind of look at who needs a head coaching change. So we'll have extensive coverage on all the head coaching changes and Black Monday and all that fun stuff. And then we'll run through and start to touch on some needs ahead of the NFL draft. We'll obviously do some draft prep episodes, not quite as many as we have in years past, where we run through 100+ players, at least not before the draft. But we'll definitely have some draft primer and everything. And no problem, Nathan. So, but it will be one a week. As far as when those launch, probably going to target Monday, but we'll see Dan's schedule and my schedule in the off season. We kind of flex around it a little bit, so we'll keep you up to date there. Yeah, I do too, Dylan. The look back at draft class episodes, I do too. It's a lot of fun for us to look back and see how we had people ranked ahead of the draft and how we had them ranked post draft, how that's planned out. It helps us with our analysis going forward, but it's just fun for us to look back and kind of analyze what we do and what we can do better, and why we might have missed on a guy or what we might have overlooked on a guy, and the dynasty perspective too of, hey, you got to have about 3 years for a guy. So we'll look back 3 years and take some dynasty analysis. Colton, kind of off the week 15 question path, but I was wondering in dynasty, I have a good group of young wide receivers: Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Odell Beckham, Cooks, Kittle, Fant. The running backs are Aaron Jones, Devin Singletary, LG at QB. What should be targeting in the draft? We got 6 first and 2 second-round picks. So first off, target a little bit of running back depth, but otherwise, you're in an incredible spot there. Honestly, I would just target some running back depth. Maybe take a flyer on a quarterback with one of those seconds. I don't know if it's super flex or not. If not, then take a shot later. But also maybe try to convert some of those into future picks as well. If not, then go best available, because your wide receiver core is good. You are set at tight end. The only thing you really need is running back, and I think you can satisfy that with a couple of throws on those first round picks. And then after that, either try to convert those picks into future draft capital for somebody that might want to move up. That way you're set for years forward, or get it into trade pieces and just take best available and turn that into the people that you'd be willing to flip. Or I guess insulate maybe, but not a whole lot of insulation needed there. So just turn it into people that you might be willing to flip, and take care of yourself in the future when you got that kind of draft capital now. All right, that's all I got for you today. As always, thank you for tuning in. We will be back on Monday to give you a full recap of Week 15, help get you ready for Week 16. My thoughts exactly. I just want to get some input since it's my first year in Dynasty. No problem, Colton. We love Dynasty, honestly, more than Redraft. We do Redraft because it's the kind of the meat and potatoes for everybody, but Dynasty is a ton of fun. It's a lot of strategy, and it's something that we love talking about. So that's why we dedicate a lot of the offseason to that before we really get to August, September, when Redraft starts ramping up. So Dynasty is one of our favorite things. Yeah. You too, Dylan. Good luck to everybody in Week 15. We will be back on Monday to recap everything that went down. I'll have Dan back, so a little bit more conversational. We'll figure out based on how Week 15 goes what it is that we want to talk about. We'll give you some waivers. That's kind of dwindling down a little bit as we go, but we'll give you some waivers if we see anything out there, some cuts, and put together some content. So hopefully we will catch you all then. Thank you, Colton. We certainly do appreciate you guys, and good luck to you as well. Until next time. Think of anything in the meantime, at HotBFF on Twitter, as always, at BeerfieldFF. I've got some bets to go make.